Okay, we are in day 42, Exodus 32. And let me tell you something. I do a lot of stupid things in my life, and I have made a lot of stupid mistakes. But I got to tell you, this chapter just wears me out because I am so blown away how human beings can just be so ridiculous after God performs all these miraculous things. So here we are. Moses goes up to Mount Sinai to meet with the Lord. He takes the 2 stone tablets to get the 10 commandments that says yesterday in day 41 that literally the 10 commandments, the stone tablets, were written by the finger of God. So here Moses was. He had been gone 40 days, and all of a sudden a rebellious clan within the Israelites say, well, where is he? We don't even know if he's coming back. Let's make other gods. Let's worship other pagan gods. So are you ready for this one? Aaron, the high priest, the numero uno in the high priest, Moses's older brother, the faithful one that God had chosen, said, well, take your earrings off and take your gold off, and we will melt them down and basically do what you want to do. They took their gold earrings off, melted the gold, and made a golden calf and started worshiping the golden calf. It's like, you're kidding me, right? So Moses comes down, sees this, is so irate that he throws the stones down and breaks them in pieces and says to Aaron, how could you have allowed this to happen? How did you let people, I'm gone 40 days. And the one thing I ask you is to keep the people faithful towards God. And I come down and they had melted their gold down and made false idols. Made a golden calf out of this, and they are worshiping a pagan god. How have you allowed that to happen? Well, I love Aaron's response. You know, we put the gold in, and it just came out a golden calf. You're kidding me, right? I don't know why I get so worked up about this chapter, but every time I've read it, I'm just like, this is unbelievable to me. Now, again, I know that I have failed a million times, but this is like we'll call this one a major fail. And here is Moses. And I was thinking about him climbing up Mount Sinai, and I had to Google, how far is that? How big of a hike is that? He did not have New Balance hiking shoes. He had probably leather sandals. And it says today that there are pathways that weave up to the top of Mount Sinai, and it's about a 2-hour hike. That is with equipment, with water bottles, and, you know, they're not carrying 2 huge stones for Jesus to write the 10 Commandments on. And every time you see pictures, the depiction of Moses with the golden tablets, with the tablets, they aren't little tiny tablets that you put in your hand. Or the tabernacle that they built, the ark, would not have to be so big if because the only thing in the ark are the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments, Aaron's staff, and the 2 liters of manna. So there you go. So the tablets had to have been a significant size. And this poor guy is hiking to the top of the mountain. That's like the worst CrossFit workout session in the history of the world. And yet he goes up there, he's gone 40 days, he comes down, and they have completely failed them. And he has to literally beg God not to get rid of the entire Israelite nation, because God's like, really? I leave you for 40 days. So Moses comes down and says, who's with me? And all the Israelites go with him. And it says over 3,000 men were in rebellion. They did not come on the side of being for God. and they were literally killed, 3,000 men. You can call it wrath of God, but I would call it stupidity. After God parts the Red Sea, they have seen manna fall down from heaven. They saw quail drop from the skies. Water came out of a rock when Moses and Aaron hit their staff on it, and yet they rebel. Well, they all got slaughtered because of it, and I think that is absolutely the mercy of God that he didn't wipe out the entire rebellious people in the tribe of Israel. But then I look at life today, and I see all these people that are in sheer rebellion, people that have been taught the truth, and yet they turn the other way. Well, that's why we are all called to be disciples for Jesus, that even when people are in rebellion, we are called to love them and minister to them, share the love of Christ with them, and that's what we're put on this earth today. We are at day 42 in the New Testament in Matthew 26. And this starts out as, well, I have to back up a little bit. At the Last Supper, Jesus prophesied that Judas would be the one who would betray him, and that Peter would deny Jesus 3 times. And Peter, who I can relate to probably more than any of the other disciples, because his mouth is always getting him in trouble. And my little rampage in the Old Testament, today, might just get me in trouble, but it is what it is. I just say what's on my mind, and I love Jesus with all my heart. So Peter says, well, I would never deny Jesus. And Jesus is like, oh, yes, you will. And by the way, you will the night of, before I'm even crucified, before the rooster crows the next morning, you will deny me 3 times. Well, sure enough, that night, it's the fear of man. And we've talked about this before. Are we going to fear God, or are we going to have fear of man? Well, Peter allowed fear of man to come upon him. And a servant girl said, wait a minute, aren't you one of the men, the disciples, who were with Jesus? And he says, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Then a second time, he says, I don't even know the man. And then a third time, he says, a curse on me if I even have been with the man, or no, a curse be on me. That's pretty strong if I am with Jesus. Wow. And then the rooster crows the next morning, and the words that Jesus spoke to Peter came back to him. And it says he wept bitterly. And also, Judas, who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, it says he had tremendous remorse, went back to the high priest and threw the 30 pieces of silver down and knew he couldn't take it, and left that day and went and hanged himself. He had such deep remorse, because even when you betray Jesus, even if you don't believe in him, the works that he did, it's really, really hard to deny that he is the Son of the living God. And when you start reading this Bible with me and you hear of all the miracles, and everyone says, oh, but there's interpretation and things can change. But these first books in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, literally walked with Jesus on a daily basis and bring in tens of thousands of people that saw Jesus perform these miracles. And that's why the high priests were so threatened, because they did not want the people to believe in the one true Messiah. And that is spiritual warfare 101. So Jesus, once again, the prophecy from Jeremiah, even speaks about the 30 pieces of silver. It says here, they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price at which he was valued by the people of Israel, and purchased the potter's field as the Lord directed. Well, when Judas returned the 30 pieces of silver, the high priest thought about it, and they said, well, we can't take it back because it's basically blood money. So they went and bought a field, and it's called the potter's field, which became a cemetery. And to this day, it's called the field of blood because it was purchased with the money that was used to betray Jesus. So then Jesus was questioned again, and Jesus never denied that he was the Son of God and that he was the Messiah. So our choice is we either have to believe it or he's the biggest fraud that ever lived, because he proclaims in this chapter, yes, I am who you say I am. I am the Messiah. I am the Son of God. I am. Just like God said, I am. So we either have to believe it or we have to reject it. And I will promise you, I've seen so many miracles in my life. If you will follow me and we follow this Bible, it has nothing to do with me, but let's read what the Bible says and fill our hearts and our minds with truth so you can come to your own decision. We are in Psalm 33, and I love everything in the Bible, but this is so beautiful. I wanted to read a little excerpt for you. For the word of the Lord holds true, and we can trust everything he does. He loves whatever is just and good. The unfailing love of the Lord fills the earth. And then I'm going to drop down to the bottom, and I love this. It says, but the Lord's plans stand firm forever. His intentions can never be shaken. So God's plans are not going to be thwarted because humans have a different idea. And I heard a pastor just the other day say, God doesn't fit into our dreams. God gives us the dreams, and then it's our job to hone in close to God so we can fulfill the dreams that God has placed in our hearts. And I will promise you, it's not just way out there dreams and thinking, oh, I don't want to do that. No, these are dreams that God places deep in our hearts. So we have a desire to fulfill those dreams for him. So he doesn't succumb to what we want to do, but he puts those plans and ideas in our hearts so we can go out and have the most joyous life in the world, because it's the seeds that are planted for the giftings and the talents that he gave us to bring those dreams to fruition. How beautiful is that? Okay, today is Proverbs 8, and it's very short, but one thing just really popped out to me today in the reading, and I want to just read you this one line and emphasize this. It says, for whoever finds me, who is God, and his wisdom, finds life and receives favor from the Lord. Well, who doesn't want life, and who would not want the favor of a living God who created the universe? I certainly do. And if I had to rely on my own mind to get through in this life, I'd be in a heap of trouble. So I'm going to rely on God. I want to rely on his favor, and I want to rely on his wisdom. Because if I had to rely on my own little peon mind and just the knowledge that I have in there, I'd be in a heap of trouble. So I want to rely on God's wisdom. And his wisdom will guide you and show you the right path. There's not a better, more blessed way to live than that. So come on and join me.